Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and today on the podcast, we are talking Barista and Beyond, or Barista and Coffee Roaster and every other professional in the coffee industry and beyond. You ready? Let's do it. Hey friends, tickets are now available for our new series of live workshops taking place in November and December. They're focused on getting coffee professionals and small business owners better prepared for 2023. There's one for coffee professionals, one for those looking to start or grow their business as a coffee consultant, and there's one for customer acquisition planning that's tailored to small business owners. Go to mapitforward.coffee/events to grab tickets or check the show notes for details. This is our third in a 5-part series that is preparing for 2023. As we spoke about in the first episode, 2023, by all accounts, is likely to be the most volatile year that we've had from many different perspectives for a very long time, probably since 2008. There's going to be volatility in the supply chain, in geopolitics, in the economy, in our industry in general. So why do we want to talk about your long-term career when next year is going to be such a volatile year? Well, I believe, and a lot of people believe, that 2023 is going to be one of those transformative years and determinant years for quite some time. 2023 will set the stage, and your ability to survive 2023 in the best possible condition that you can is likely to determine how your life and your career will move on from there. So if we can take a step back before 2023 gets here and think about how we want to head into 2023 and how we want to come out the other end of 2023, that gives us an advantage, and not an advantage over other people or not over other people. That's not the kind of advantage I'm talking about. It gives us an advantage over what could have been if we don't. So if we just decide we're going to just take it however it comes in 2023 and we're just going to react to all the conditions, I'm not saying you can't do that. Sure, if that's what your choice is, go ahead. But what is likely to happen to baristas and to coffee roasters as we move on, and mice definitely confirmed this for me, this industry is changing, and it's changing quickly. And next year is going to be one of those years when many people come to see that the reality of the situation is that this industry cannot exist in the state that it's in. Why? Because people are either focused too much on people and not profits, or too much on profits and not people. And we're going to talk more about that in the next episode. But next year is a year for you to figure out how your employer, remember in this episode, we're talking specifically to employees. Which way does your employer swing? Is your employer focusing too much on people and not on profits, or too much on profits and not on people? Whichever way that swings is going to determine how your local industry sets itself up. Is this an industry that's hyper-focused on profitability and doesn't care about people? Well, if that's the case, that's an industry that's probably experiencing a number of labor shortages. Is it an industry that's focusing too much on people and not enough on profits? Well, those are the businesses that are likely to go out of business next year because they're most likely going to be they're most likely going to be the zombie businesses. So this industry is poised to change. In a couple of weeks, depending on when you're listening to this, check the show notes. We have a workshop called Barista and Beyond. In this workshop, we are going to be presenting you with a full career map that helps you make decisions about how you can take a look at where you are in your career. And this is something that Map It Forward has created. I created this a couple years ago, and we've been tweaking it ever since to account for the pandemic and account for all of the interesting things that are going on in the world and impacting our industry. And we're asking the questions of what are the options ahead for you, and how are you going to prepare for it? Are you in the first part, which we call the puppy years? Are you in that point where you're learning all the fundamentals? And that's what happens in the puppy years. Are the fundamentals of the industry changing, and are you adapting to them? What are the outward forces that are causing what we believe the fundamentals in the coffee industry to be? How are those forces impacting that? Then we have the middle part of the career map, which I call the mid-career years. And in that part, this is where you start to become, in my opinion, I will preface this by saying this is the hardest part of a career map. Why? Because it's about honing the skills. It's about honing the fundamentals and doing the same thing again and again and again. It's where you go out as a barista and you go and work at a whole bunch of different cafes and really start to learn about how the skills you've learned impact the way that consumers experience coffee. If you're a coffee roaster, this is where you would go and take the fundamentals of the roasting that you've learnt and go and experience that at different coffee roasting companies and see how different roasteries adapt on the fundamentals. But the mid-career years are where your career is made. Why? Because it's all about grit. It's all about stamina. It's all about focus. Can you move away from just being connected to the excitement of all the newness and still want to be doing this? Then the second half of the map, which is the third and final section, which is the whole second half of a 10-year map. This is where you start becoming an expert. This is where you start thinking about how you can innovate based on the fundamentals as well as the stamina and grit that you've cultivated. How can you take those first two sections, become an expert where you innovate, where you teach, where you lead, where you do all of those things that turn you into the kind of professional that may want to open their own business one day or may want to go on to be a part of a bigger company that can cultivate a whole new generation of professionals, whatever it is. Having a plan and a barista map or a coffee roaster's map, you'll get both of them in this workshop. This is an important strategy to plotting a successful long-term career. And I hope you'll consider, if you are an employee in the industry, I hope you'll consider joining this workshop. Again, check the show notes. It's the first of our series of 3 workshops. So head there very quickly and sign up. Use the discount code that we've got in the show notes. But this workshop is not only for employees. It is for employers who are looking to figure out, how can I help my staff plot a long-term career map? How can I figure out how I can create a growth plan for my staff? A lot of my clients have used these career maps. A lot of my clients have used these approaches to create opportunities for their teams. I hope you'll find it valuable, and I hope to see you at the workshop. Peace, love, and peanut butter, friends. Have an amazing rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in, friends. There are 2 ways you can support this podcast. Firstly, become a paid member of our YouTube channel. Secondly, you can join our Patreon for as little as $3 a month. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video before you leave, and check the show notes for more information. Now, this is what you should check out next.